Hello everybody, it's Bradley back. Thank you for stopping by on the channel Tripleinc. So, I bet you have not heard of this one before. If you're an average Joe in the fragrance community, you probably will have never heard of this fragrance. This is called Dueto Citiver. This fragrance doesn't get a whole lot of talk in the YouTube fragrance community, and I think that is unfortunate. George over at the Fragrance Apprentice, he really brought this into the limelight, so to speak, but still does not get a whole lot of play. Seen a couple of reviews on it, but for the most part, this is still relatively an unknown scent, and George's review actually inspired me to go out and buy this one. So if you want to check out their review, I'll leave a link down below. So, the House of Dueto is a relatively new house. This fragrance itself came out in 2013. So I'd like to start things off by showing you the presentation. I think this has a really good presentation to it, and I'd like to showcase that. So let's start things off with the box. A very nice high quality box right here. You see this goes along with the city theme that the entire fragrance goes along with. It has the names of all very important cities all around the world. So you got a little bit of information on the back. It has Citiver on top, and pretty much their entire line of fragrances keeps with this theme. This is the same color of the bottle, has your batch information on the bottom. Overall, a very nice box. Now for the bottle, this bottle does much the same thing that the box does. Very clean looking, has this silver writing, and actually when you look at it in the sun, you can see through it, but when you look at it from right here, it's a little bit hard to see the juice. So a nice translucent kind of colored green glass. Very nice clean presentation. You got, again, batch information on the bottom. This is an Eau de Parfum. Very good presentation. It's what I expect from the niche world. Okay, I'm just gonna give myself a spray really quick to remind me of the opening. There we go. Yeah, so right away, this definitely has a very similar scent to Tom Ford's Grey Vetiver. However, this is a little bit different than that. This is definitely a vetiver-dominated scent, as the name would suggest. Citiver, kind of get the theme of like vetiver, and it has a very nice modern sort of a vetiver scent to it. It's very clean and green, slightly soapy due to that vetiver note. Also has a very good big citrus note up top. It's the grapefruit, it's the lemon, and a little bit of the bergamot up there, but this is not juicy grapefruit like Tom Ford Grey Vetiver is, where it's nice, cooling, and refreshing. No, this is a very dry citrus, very rindy, sort of reminds me of like citrus peel. So it's a dry, citrusy, vetiver, soapy scent. All of the notes really come at you very strongly up top. But other than that, it's a pretty linear scent. When it dries down, you get a very good woody presence due to the elemi note. That elemi note is like a sappy woodiness. Very good, and almost warms up a little bit as it dries down. Touch of spicy nuances in here, but overall this is a vetiver-dominated scent with some soapy, citrusy, and woody tones all throughout. Now this fragrance is not smooth. This is not your smooth vetiver. This is a very rough, kind of a scratchy textured vetiver, very rough around the edges, but I actually like that. Vetiver is not one of my all-time favorite notes, I will admit, but this does vetiver in a way that I very much enjoy. Overall, it's a very well-balanced, solid vetiver scent that remains very clean and very modern at the same time, and has an urban feel like you're in the city while still maintaining a very natural greenness that would remind you of the spring. All in all, I'm going to give this scent a 3.5 out of 5. Like I said, it does vetiver very good. Wish it had a little bit more transition throughout the scent, but it does have very good depth, which I do enjoy. Alright, next up is the performance. This is an Eau de Parfum, and I can tell you it does last like one, thankfully. This always gets me frequently 10 hours plus longevity, sometimes even pushing 12 hours, which is really good. And I can say projection, always within 2 hours. Really good projection. Pushes out very far, which is awesome. Sometimes after that, it'll die down rather quickly, but this one seems to come and go off my skin. Sometimes it'll project a lot, sometimes it'll go away, but then come back. So projection is kind of a little bit of a mixed sport, but within 2 hours, it's a beast. Also, this leaves a very good scent trail. I've had times where I've left the room and come back in and people say, wow, is that your fragrance? I can still smell it in here. So it does linger in the air a very good time. Overall, the performance, I'm going to score it a 4 out of 5. Very good for a fresh scent. Definitely is not lacking in this category whatsoever. Alright, now for the versatility. Smelling this, right away, it reminds me of spring and really no other season. I think this is a little bit too much for the high summer heat and just doesn't really fit the winter or the fall season, so definitely a spring. Right away you're thinking, hey, that's not too versatile. However, this could be a great signature scent for the spring season. Pretty much can do any occasion in the spring that you may ask of it. Work, it does very good if you go light on the trigger, not gonna knock anybody over, just gotta be careful in the opening because it is pretty strong. Definitely outdoors because it does have the really good performance and smells like spring, smells sort of like nature. And also you can wear this casual, and you can also wear this in the clubs, I think, because it does have such a good performance. This very piercing vetiver scent will catch some people's noses. I wouldn't really recommend it on a date, but again, it is a very good versatile spring scent. This definitely fits a guy who has a very adventurous personality that likes to be outdoors, but also has a refined, sort of a urban, sophisticated side to him. Overall, this is a very good, versatile fragrance for the springtime. I'm going to score it a 3 out of 5, which I think is a pretty good rating for that. This, along with Hermès On Jardin sur le Nil, would be two great options if you want fragrances that just smell like spring, and this is the more masculine counterpart to the Hermès fragrance. Alright, so what about the compliment factor? Up until recently, this has been actually a below average compliment getter for me. When I've had people smell it, they said, hey, it smells nice, but it doesn't really blow me away, kind of generic. So I'm thinking, it's one of those generic fragrances, right? However, I did wear this yesterday for like a last testing before I did this review, and I gotta say I got some very good compliments with this yesterday, so that has kind of changed my opinion on the compliment factor of this a little bit. The compliment I got was actually when this fragrance has been in the air for a little bit of time, and I came back into the room and people were saying, wow, this smells really, really nice. Once it lingers around in the air, I think it smells a lot better than when you smell it very, very close, because it is a little bit rough. This may not be for everybody, but nonetheless, I would say it's a pretty good, safe compliment getter. Not going to be your best compliment getter in your collection, but I think will surprise you and get a couple compliments from time to time. So with that, I'm going to score the compliment factor a 2.5 out of 5. Okay, and lastly, let's hit up the value category. This is a very difficult fragrance to find and to get your hands on. I'm just going to say that right now. I'll leave links below to where you can find it at notino.com. And this is just very, very limited stock, even for niche. I will say when you can find it, it's going to be priced at around $100, which this is a 100ml bottle, only one size this bottle comes in. I think it's a pretty good value if you're just considering the dollar value. However, it's so difficult to find and not a lot of people have it, so for that I'm only going to score the value a 2 out of 5. If this was easier to find and easier to get your hands on, the value would definitely be a lot better, but this is a tough one to get. Alright everybody, so it's time to give Dueto Citiver a final rating. I'm going to score this fragrance a 7.5 out of 10. I mean, you may think that's just kind of like an average rating for me, and it is, but for me this is a very good vetiver fragrance. The only reason why I don't score it higher is because it's very, very difficult to find, and I don't know, it's just not my favorite scent in the world. However, I do appreciate it. It has great performance, and I think it's a great spring option to go look at. So that's going to be my review of Dueto Citiver. If you have ever tried this fragrance, let me know about that in the comment section down below. I would definitely urge you to go try this before it becomes extinct. And as always, subscribe to my channel for some more fragrance content, and that's going to be it for me. Adios.